Walk with me for a few minutes. So, I had an interesting conversation a couple days ago with one of my longtime friends and personal mentors. He's kind of a known spiritual leader in the world and someone that's been a great conversation, discussion partner for years for me. I get a lot of value in our conversations. And we were talking a couple days ago, and we stumbled into one of those kind of, man, it's muddy today. Look how muddy this morning. We stumbled into one of those kind of deeper, stimulating conversations, and I want to share it with you and get some perspective. Let me know you're out there. Drop a comment below. I'd love to say hello. I'd love to know who is joining me, is walking with me on these conversations, and get an opportunity to say hi back. So drop a comment below. But the conversation kind of slipped into a realization that so much of the dialogue today, like so much of the conversations I think all of us are getting in and all of us are observing or watching, have to do with when we're going to get through this. All right, there's no doubt we're in a super interesting, unique season of life, first for all of us. But so much of the dialogue, and I think now that I bring this to maybe your awareness, you'll hear this today, this week, has to do with, man, when's this going to end? Or when we're on the other side, or once we are through, or when this is all over, or any variation of focusing on an end. You know, when's it going to get back to normal? When it's back to normal then. And we started having the dialogue and said, man, I think we're focused on the wrong thing. Instead of focusing on when this is going to end, I think we have to shift our perspective to, while we're going through this, what we can begin. I think if we continue to focus our energy on the problem, the crisis, where energy goes, right? Focus goes where focus goes, energy flows. And if we continue to focus on the problem, the irony is focusing on the problem just makes the problem worse. It feeds the problem. And I once heard a quote that the same level of thinking that got us to where we are won't get us to where we want to go. In other words, we have to think differently. We have to make a shift. And I think one of the big shifts we have to make is focusing on maybe when this is going to end, to shifting and asking ourselves, well, what can we begin? Shifting from focusing on the problem to creating the solution. You see, right now we need to all be creators, right? We all have to put our creation hat on, our creativity thinking on, and we have to do it with the lens of service to others, values to others, and what we can do during this time to adapt, to think differently, to innovate. And now is a huge opportunity. And I don't mean opportunity just from a, gain perspective. I mean an opportunity from an impact perspective, where there is a greater need or number of people in need, which is growing every single day. I interpret that as a greater opportunity to make a difference, to make an impact, to be part of a solution. So I challenge all of us to kind of shift the script, so to speak, from ending to beginning, from the problem to solution, and by tapping into the creator in all of us and asking us, what can we create new right now? So you might be saying, okay, Blake, I can get my mind behind that. How many of you guys could get around shifting that perspective, focusing on a new level of thinking, focusing on creating new to solve the problem? Looking in the rear view mirror is not going to get us to where we're going. We got to look out the windshield. We got to think differently. How many of you guys are willing to shift that script and adopt that belief? Give me some feedback below. And I know the next kind of obvious question is, okay, well, how in the world do I do that? Well, I believe all of us have the ability to create. I believe all of us have creative talents and desires. I think it's built in to us and our human DNA. But let me give you a practical framework here. Some of you that have followed me for a while, that I'm all about getting people to make the shift from chasing what I call a supposed to, right? What everybody tells you you're supposed to do or supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, to really, I think the game of life is finding you're meant to. The person you're meant to be, what you're meant to do, the impact you're meant to make. And to me, meant to is always at the intersection of three things. Number one, your purpose. Number two, your passion. And number three, your potential. To me, if you can find something that sits right there at the intersection of all three, that's kind of like your life compass moving you toward your meant to. So let's use that framework in the context of today. So how do we apply those questions to today? Okay, let's start with purpose. So what can you do right now that can bring value to others, service to others, contribution to others? You see, purpose, at least by my definition, is something within us that can impact others. It's not about self, it's about people around us. And others might be one person, or it might be a handful of people, or it might be hundreds or thousands, for some of you millions of people. But it's got to be above self and about others. It's a service mindset or a contribution mindset. So right now, more than ever, I think we have to be on purpose, meaning what can you do right now that can bring value and service to others? And then you got to align that with that second question, which is, what is it something that you're passionate about? Because passion is the inner fire. That's the ignition. That's the igniter. That's the energy. That's the fuel. You all know what it is. That's the feeling inside when you're moving in a direction of excitement, right? Of enthusiasm. And there's some things that we are passionate about, and there's other things we're not. But to make a real difference and make a real impact, you got to have energy. You got to be willing to put in the time. You got to be willing to put in the work. You're going to have to sacrifice maybe other things. And for all that to be true, you better be passionate about it. Otherwise, quite frankly, you're not going to do it or not going to do it for very long. So how can you bring service to others in a direction that right now you're really passionate about? And then lastly, potential is about talent, skill, ability, or I like to call your strengths. So how do you intersect the first two conversations with things you're just good at naturally, things that come easy to you, things that allow you to flow? We all have different talents. So often we get obsessed fixating on the things we're not good at, and we don't let ourselves put energy or thrive in the things that come easy to us. And here's what I know to be true. Every one of us have things that come easy to us. Every one of us have natural or innate talents and gifts. And those of you that are in your lane, right, you know that. You're probably excelling, growing, achieving, progressing, and doing it in a way that's fulfilling. If all that's true, you're in your strength zone. I see so many people, though, that are like a fish out of water, and they're in a lane that doesn't tap into their potential. So how can you apply something you're good at right now, a strength you have, in a direction to solve some of the problems we're all facing? And you guys, I don't mean just like solving, COVID-19, like that's a big problem, but there's a million other problems that are being caused around that problem. You don't have to be a scientist or, someone that specializes in viruses to help be a part of the solution. I mean, there's a million things right now, and the needs are growing every single day that you can be an impact and a solution toward. I was on one of our community Zooms earlier this week, heard an amazing young lady, and I apologize, I forget the name. Maybe I'll figure it out. Someone will tag them below. But she started making homemade masks, and she started going on YouTube and TikTok, just showing people how to make homemade masks. And now she has a following of people that are all using their purpose, their passion, their potential to make homemade masks and send them to first responders and people that need them. Guys, that's a perfect example of new thinking, focused on creating, focused on beginning in a way that aligns with a greater cause, a passion, and a skill set we all have, for example, right? So you guys, there's a million other different things we can do. You got to ask yourself, how can you, right? You, personally, you, this is about you and all of us together. How can we align, right, our purpose, our passion, our potential in a way right now to be part of a solution And I think that's what we all need. Focusing and fixating on the problem is just going to feed it, right? You focus and fixate on it too long, the natural response is fear. And we give it more energy than it deserves. And in a lot of cases, we make it bigger than it needs to be. And it's already big enough naturally. We don't need to make it bigger. We got to shift our energy. It's not about when will this end. Guys, let me be real. It's never going back to the way it was. It never will. It won't. The phase we're in right now will make a lasting imprint on history. It'll be a phase we all remember in all of our lives. It'll be a phase my 4-year-old son, Grayson, remembers going through all of this. We won't go back to the way it was. There will be a new normal that'll be different than what was normal. And right now, what that new normal is being written every single day. And while none of us knows for sure, we can say with certainty, it'll be new. It won't be the same. And I can say with certainty that new normal will be based on new thinking, new solutions, and people that are willing out there not to fixate and stand in fear, freeze on the problem or the crisis, but are focused on creating, are focused on beginning, are focused on innovating, adapting. And the ones that'll help the most, reach the most, and make the biggest impact, in my opinion, are the ones that do so in a way that are serving others, purpose, are passionate, right? Passion, and are putting their gifts and skills so that it can come naturally and they can go further faster, their potential. And last thing I'll say is, we need it. We need you. The world needs all of us. If we all shift our thinking, if we all become part of a solution in our own way, not only will we get through this to whatever the new normal is faster, but you know what? You'll be in a better place, and the people around you will be in a better place because of that decision. So if you guys are willing to adopt that belief system, shift that script, and put energy into creating, let me know below. If you got any ideas on what you're going to do, would love to see the comments. You making a commitment and decision might inspire other people to do the same in their own way. If you're already doing something, hats off. I applaud you and thank you. That's what we need. I'd love to know what you're doing. Maybe there's a way I can help, support, promote. Please let me know. Reach out. Other than that, guys, that's my message based on the conversations I had this week. And just wanted to share. I'm going to be focused on being a part of the solution, creating whatever the new that needs to be created is, and hopefully inspiring a couple of you guys to do the same, because we need everybody we can focused on being part of the solution right now. Love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy. As always, if you got value from this, give it some love. Click the like. I read every comment. Would love to know your feedback. Would love to know your perspective. Would love to know what you're going to do about this message. Feel free to tag anybody who comes to your heart and mind that you think can be a creator and be part of the solution. And as always, share if you want to give the gift or give the value to others. Until next time, have a great day, everybody. Good luck shifting and creating this week.